The twin suns of Sci-Fi burned in the orange sky. The slave market stood in the middle of the city, full of shouting voices, strange smells, and heavy chains. Buyers from many alien worlds had gathered to look for cheap labor, fighters, or pets. On a raised metal platform, a young alien woman stood alone. Her skin was soft blue with silver markings. Her clothes were torn. One of her legs was missing, and in its place was a metal stump. Rusted and worn, the auctioneer, a fat green alien with sharp teeth, pointed at her with his cane. Half price. "For the one-legged outcast," he shouted with a wicked grin. "No use in war. No use in dance. Just good for cleaning or sitting quietly." "Who wants her?" The crowd laughed. "She'll fall over before she works." One alien joked, "She belongs in the trash heap." Another sneered. But in the back of the crowd, a quiet man stood still. He was tall, dressed in simple clothes, a dirty jacket, and thick boots. His name was Jackson Hale, a human from Earth. Jackson didn't laugh. He didn't mock. Just stared at the girl on the platform. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She kept her head high, and her yellow eyes locked forward. Her hands were tied, but her pride was not broken. Jackson felt something stir in his chest. He knew that look. He had seen it in old war zones, in broken soldiers, and in orphans who had lost everything. It was the look of someone who had nothing, left but still refused to give up. The auctioneer clapped his hands. "No takers." "Fine. Let's start the bid at 100 credits." No hands were raised. 75. Silence. 50. Someone in the back threw a rotten fruit at the girl. She didn't move. The auctioneer sighed. "Fine. Half price 40 credits. Jackson raised his hand. "I'll take her." The crowd turned to look. Some gasped. Others laughed. "A human," someone whispered. "What would a human want with a broken virulent?" Jackson walked forward. 40 credits. "Paid now." The auctioneer blinked. "You serious?" "Don't joke when I spend money," Jackson said. He handed over the credits. The auctioneer gave a shrug. "She's yours. Human. Don't come crying when she falls apart." 2 guards untied the girl's hands and pushed her forward. She limped toward Jackson, not saying a word. Her eyes studied him, full of doubt and confusion. She had been sold before many times. No one had ever looked at her the way this man did. Jackson nodded to her. "Can you walk?" She hesitated. Then she gave a single nod. "Good," Jackson said. "Let's go. My ship's not far." The girl followed him through the dusty market. Streets? She limped badly, but she didn't complain. Jackson didn't speak much either. After a long walk, they reached a small freighter sitting on the landing pad. It was old, patched with mismatched metal, and painted with the name Wayfarer. On the side, the ramp opened with a hiss. Jackson led her inside. "Sit there," he said, pointing to a seat in the cargo hold. The girl sat. She was ready for the worst shouting chains, maybe worse. Instead, Jackson walked to a cabinet and returned with a water bottle. He gave it to her. She stared at it, unsure. "It's clean," he said. She drank it slowly, then looked at him again. "Why?" she asked in a soft voice. "Why what? Why by me?" Jackson sat across from her. "You're not the first outcast I've met." She frowned. "I'm broken." "No," he said. "You're hurt. Not broken." The girl looked away. Jackson leaned back. "What's your name?" She hesitated. "It's nice to meet you, Thesara. I'm Jackson." "I don't belong to you," she said quickly. Jackson raised an eyebrow. "I didn't say you did." She looked confused. "Then why take me?" "'Cause you were standing taller than anyone else on that stage, even with one leg." Silence filled the room for a moment. Jackson stood up. "This isn't a prison. You can rest here for now. Food is in the galley." "You're not a slave on this ship." She stared at him. "What am I then?" Jackson gave a small smile. "A guest. For now." He turned and walked toward the cockpit. Later that night, Desira sat alone in the small room Jackson had given her. It had a bed, a light, and a soft blanket. It was more than she had in years. She looked at her rusted metal stump, then at her hands. She touched the edge of the blanket. Soft, warm, real. She didn't know what this human wanted. No one gave something for nothing. Not in this galaxy. And yet when she closed her eyes, she didn't feel afraid. She felt safe. Jackson sat in the cockpit watching the stars. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't rich. He wasn't even sure what he was doing anymore. But something about that girl had pulled at his soul. She didn't need saving. She needed someone to believe she was still worth something. He could do that. Maybe that was enough. The Wayfarer floated through the dark space between stars. Inside the ship, everything hummed quietly. The Sara sat near the engine room, her eyes fixed on a glowing screen. Her one leg stretched out, and the metal stump rested on a cushion. She had been on the ship for 3 days now. No one had touched her. No one had ordered her around. No chains, no punishments. Just silence, space, and the soft clanking of tools. Jackson Hale had not asked her to work, but he had shown her the engine room, the supply closet, and the galley. He had said, "Make yourself useful if you want. Or don't. I won't force you." It confused her. She had always been used either as a servant, a toy, or an unwanted object passed between owners. Now, this human treated her like a person. The ship AI, a calm female voice called Luma, spoke now and then. It helped the Sara find her way around. Luma never mocked her, never judged, only offered help when asked. But the Sara still watched. Jackson with sharp eyes. She waited for the moment he would show his true face. The anger, the demand, the trap. It hadn't come. One morning, Jackson walked into the small lounge holding a steaming cup. "Sleep okay?" he asked. The Sara nodded slowly. "Your room warm enough?" "Yes." He sat across from her. "Ever fixed a coolant pipe?" She looked surprised. "No, but I've seen it done. Want to try?" She didn't answer at first. Then she said yes. Jackson smiled slightly. "Good, we'll start after breakfast." In the engine bay, the Sara watched carefully as Jackson opened a panel on the wall. Steam hissed out. Pipes ran across the wall like metal snakes. "This line here," he pointed, "carries coolant from the main reactor. That green one? Leaks." The Sara stepped closer, balancing herself. She knelt down and felt the pipe with her hand. "I see the crack," she said. "Good. What would you do first?" She thought, "Turn off pressure. Drain the line. Then patch it or replace the section." Jackson nodded. "Not bad. Let's do it." For the next hour they worked side by side. Jackson handed her tools. She tightened bolts. She sealed the crack with a metal patch and special foam. Her hands moved quickly, clever and skilled. "You've done this before," Jackson said. "Not with coolant. But I fixed heating lines in a prison ship once. Looks like it stayed in your head." Sara didn't reply, but a tiny smile touched her lips. Later, in the mess room, the ship's only other crew member entered, a tall, thick-skinned alien with tusks and 4 fingers on each hand. His name was Brock, species called Drogan. He carried a large box of parts and gave the Sara a long stare. "You're the new leg girl," he grunted. The Sara narrowed her eyes. "I have a name," Brock shrugged. "Fine. Name. The Sara." "I'm Brock. I fix things. Don't break anything I'll have to fix." "I've fixed things too," she said. Brock grinned, showing sharp teeth. "Good. Let's see how long you last." Over the next few days, the Sara worked more. Jackson gave her tasks easy at first, then harder ones. She fixed wires, cleaned filter ports, and helped calibrate the engine's heatsink. Her limp was heavy, but she never asked for help. She never complained. Jackson noticed the pain on her face sometimes, but said nothing. He waited. One evening, after dinner, he spoke gently. "I know a place that sells prosthetic legs. Good ones, not junk. I could get one for you." Zessara looked away. "I don't want pity. It's not pity," he said. "It's a tool. You're already strong. This will just help you move easier." "I don't need help." "How?" Jackson said. "You need a chance. I'm offering it." Sara clenched her jaw. For a long time, she stayed quiet. Then she whispered, "Why do you care?" Jackson looked out the window at the stars. "'Cause someone once gave me a chance. I was messed up. Lost. Someone helped me find my feet again. Now, I do the same when I can." She stared at him. "You don't even know me." Turned back. To her, "Not yet. But I see how hard you try. That's enough for me." That night, the Sara stood in her room, holding her old metal stump. She remembered the day she lost her leg, an explosion during the Virulon War. Her people had been crushed by stronger enemies. Her leaders ran, the soldiers scattered. She had been left behind. Since then, every day was survival. But now, for the first time, someone looked at her not with pity but with respect. It made her chest ache in a strange way. 2 days later, Jackson returned from a shady market station with a wrapped bundle. He placed it on the table. Top grade, cybernetic, shock-resistant, full movement. The Sara slowly opened the cloth. Inside was a smooth silver leg, with small control wires and a rubber foot. She stared at it, speechless. "I'll help you attach it," Jackson said. "Brock can assist too." She looked at him, eyes unsure. "Why are you doing this?" He smiled softly. "Because you're not a slave. You're not a burden. You're crew now." Tears filled her eyes, but she wiped them quickly. "Okay." She said, "Let's try." Hours later, the Sara stood slowly, her new leg attached. The first steps were hard, shaky, and unbalanced. Jackson helped hold her. Brock gave short advice. "Lean forward, bend the knee, trust it." She fell once, then twice, but she got up each time, and then she walked. Not limped, walked. She laughed. A sound she hadn't made in years. "I'm walking," she said, voice full of light. Jackson crossed his arms and smiled. "Told you." That night, the Sara sat in the cockpit alone, staring out at the stars. She didn't feel like a slave. She didn't feel broken. For the first time, she felt free and strong, maybe even worth something. The Wayfarer moved through deep space, away from the crowded trade worlds, and toward quiet, empty stars. Inside the ship, the Sara stood in the training room, sweating, breathing hard, but still standing tall. Her new silver leg moved smoothly now. Each step was stronger than the last. Her balance had returned. The pain in her muscles was real, but she welcomed it. It meant she was healing. Jackson stood nearby, watching her swing a small practice staff. "You're getting better," he said. She nodded. "It feels like my real leg again. Soon, it'll feel like it was always part of you." The Sara looked at her reflection in the mirror wall. She still saw scars, still saw the missing pieces. But now, she also saw strength. Her shoulders stood straighter. Her eyes held focus. She didn't look like the broken thing the auctioneer had mocked weeks ago. Jackson walked over and handed her a towel. "You fight like a soldier." "I was one," she said softly, "before everything fell apart." He sat on the bench beside her. "Tell me." She hesitated, then finally spoke. "I was part of the Virulon Sky Guard. I flew ships, protected colonies. We thought we were strong, but we were fools. When the Zarin Syndicate attacked, we didn't stand a chance. Our leaders ran. Many of us were left behind. I lost my leg in the last battle. My own people sold me afterward, said I was no longer useful." Jackson's jaw tightened. "We're loyal, and they betrayed you." She nodded. "I thought I would die in chains, but then you came." Jackson looked into her eyes. "You're not in chains anymore." Later that day, Brock called them both to the cockpit. "We got a distress call," Brock said, pointing at the screen. "Small freighter under pirate attack. Nearby system. It might not make it without help." Jackson narrowed his eyes. "Coordinates. 3. Jumps away." Desara stepped forward. "Are we going?" Jackson didn't even hesitate. "Yes. Plot the course, Brock." Brock snorted. "Always saving strays." Jackson smiled. "One day, you'll thank me for it." The Wayfarer arrived near a dusty planet ringed by debris. A small civilian freighter spun slowly, its engines smoking. A group of pirate ships circled it like hungry wolves. Jackson opened the comms. Unregistered vessels. This is the Wayfarer. Stand down. Leave now. Laughter echoed through the speakers. Who's going to make us? A rusty old ship with a cripple and a mechanic? The Sara stepped forward, fire in her voice. Let's show them what we can do. Jackson grinned. Brock, get us in close. The Sara, you're with me. The Wayfarer flew straight into the pirate group. Its weapons fired in short, sharp bursts aimed to distract, not destroy. Jackson and the Sara suited up, grabbed stun rifles, and took the boarding pod straight onto the main pirate ship. The doors burst open with a hiss, and the two charged in. The Sara moved like lightning. Her new leg gave her power and speed she had forgotten. She dodged blasts, kicked down a guard, and spun her staff into another's chest. Jackson covered her back. Picking targets cleanly, Brock stayed on the ship, jamming enemy signals and blasting engine cores from a distance. The pirate leader, a tall, insectoid alien with black armor, stepped forward with a large blade. Who are you to fight me, broken girl? He hissed at the SSR. She didn't flinch. I'm the one who's going to end you. They fought hard. Metal clashed. Boots scraped. Sparks flew. The Sara's leg was hit, but it held. Her training, her rage, and her will to live came together. She slammed her staff into the pirate's chest, knocking him flat. Then she pointed her weapon at his head. Go, she said, and never return. He crawled away, defeated. After the battle, the pirate ships fled. The small freighter they had saved blinked its lights in thanks and jumped away into safety. Inside the Wayfarer, Brock let out a loud laugh. Not bad, leg girl. Dezera chuckled. Name's Dezera, remember? Jackson walked over. We're incredible. The Sara wiped sweat from her face. I didn't freeze. I didn't fall. No, Jackson said. You stood and you fought like a warrior. She looked down at her leg. It held. He nodded. You held. That night, the crew sat in the galley eating simple rations. The mood was light. Brock told a story about the time he got stuck in an air vent while chasing a mouse robot. The Sara laughed for real, full and bright. Even Luma, the AI, made a soft joke. After dinner, the Sara stood and raised her cup. I want to say something. The room went quiet. She looked at Jackson, then at Brock. I was bought for 40 credits. Half price. I thought I had nothing left. I was ready to give up. But this ship, its crew, gave me something I thought I'd never feel again. Paused. Hope. Jackson gave her a small nod. You gave yourself that, he said. We just helped you see it. Later, Jackson walked alone in the cargo bay, stared at the stars through the small window. The Sara joined him, quiet. We're right, she said. About the leg, it doesn't make me whole. I do. He nodded. You're not what others call you. You are what you choose to be. She looked at him, and I choose to stand. He smiled. Then you're already stronger than most in this galaxy. The Sara returned to her room and sat by the small mirror. She looked at her face. Still the same silver marks. Same deep eyes, but now something new lived behind them. She wasn't the broken thing on a stage anymore. She was alive. And ready to fight for whatever came next. The Wayfarer drifted through the silent stars. The ship's engines hummed softly, carrying its small crew farther from the crowded markets and dangerous worlds. But trouble was coming quiet and deadly. The Sara stood in the cockpit, looking at the blinking radar. Suddenly a message flashed on the screen. Warning. Incoming ship detected. Unknown vessel approaching. Fast Jackson stared at the screen with narrowed eyes. Who's coming? Brock's deep voice came through the cum.
Yes.
Scanners say it's a syndicate ship, probably mercenaries. The Sara's heart tightened. She had seen those ships before, the black flags, the sharp edges, the ruthless crews. They worked for the richest, the cruelest, capturing, killing, and selling. Why would they come for us? Jackson asked. The Sara swallowed hard. Because of me? Jackson looked surprised. What do you mean? She took a deep breath. There's something in my blood, a code, royal blood, hidden, The syndicate wants to use it. Use you? How? Control over the Virulon survivors. They believe whoever has my blood can claim power. They want me captured alive. Brock growled. That's bad news. Jackson's face hardened. We won't let that happen. That night, the Sara sat quietly, thinking about the danger she had avoided for so long. The war, the betrayal, the pain they were not over yet. Jackson entered her room quietly. We need to prepare, he said. They're hunting you, the Sara. Not for who you are now, but for what they want you to be. She looked up, eyes tired but fierce. I won't run. We fight, Jackson said simply. Together. Jackson and Brock went to work. Rigged the ship with hidden traps, laser grids, shock floors, and alarm triggers. He worked fast, muttering curses under his breath. Jackson checked the weapon systems. He loaded the ship's pulse guns and charged the shields. The Sara trained herself in hand-to-hand combat, practicing with her staff and pistols. The pain in her new leg was sharp, but she pushed through it. Days passed. The ship moved stealthily through hidden routes, avoiding patrols. But the hunters were clever. One evening, alarms screamed. Boarding party detected, Uma announced calmly. Jackson grabbed his rifle. Get ready. The Sara stood at the airlock, staff in hand, breathing steady. The airlock hissed and burst. Open. Shadowy figures poured in, mercenaries with sleek armor and deadly weapons. The Sara fought fiercely. She dodged bullets, struck with her staff, and took down enemies one by one. Her new leg held strong, her reflexes quick. Jackson covered her flank, firing pulse blasts. Brock moved through the corridors, setting traps and sealing doors. The ship shook with explosions. The leader of the mercenaries appeared, a tall, thin alien with cold eyes. You will come with us, the Sara, he said, or die. She faced him. I'm not your prize. The fight was brutal. She dodged his attacks and countered with power. With a sudden move, the Sara slammed her staff into his chest. He stumbled back, clutching his armor. Go home, she said, or face death. The mercenary growled and retreated with the others. After the fight, the ship was damaged but safe. Jackson checked the Sara's wounds. She smiled weakly. You saved me. We save each other, Jackson said. The Sara looked out at the stars. I am not a tool. I am not a weapon. I am free. Jackson nodded, and we'll keep it that way. The Wayfarer set course for a secret place, an old Virulon refuge hidden in a remote system. The Sara was ready to face her past, her future. The Wayfarer glided quietly into the orbit of a small rocky planet hidden at the edge of the galaxy. Its surface was scarred but alive, dotted with small colonies and forests that still breathed despite the wars. Jackson, the Sara, and Brock prepared. To land, we're close to the old Virulon refuge, the Sara said. Her voice was steady, but full of nerves. Few survivors live here. They don't trust outsiders anymore. Jackson nodded. We'll take it slow. You ready? The Sara glanced at him, then down at her new leg. More than ever, the ship's ramp lowered. They stepped out into the quiet air. The refuge was a small village built into cliffs and caves. Walls of stone mixed with metal plates formed homes and workshops. People moved cautiously, watching from shadows. The Sara's heart pounded. These were her people, those who had survived the fall. Many were scarred, broken, and bitter. A group of elders approached, led by a tall woman with silver hair and piercing eyes. You claim royal blood, the elder said. Why have you come? Sara stood tall, not to claim a throne. To offer hope. The elders exchanged doubtful looks. Jackson stepped forward. I'm Jackson Hale. The Sara is not a weapon or a prize. She is a survivor, like all of you. Brock grunted in agreement. The Sara raised her voice. I was sold and broken, but I was saved. I have no desire for power, only for peace. She showed them her tattoos, the mark of Virulon royalty, hidden. Beneath her clothing, the elders gasped. This mark means you are the last bloodline? one whispered, double quotes. Yes, Thessera said. But I do not want to rule. I want to unite us so no one else falls into slavery or war. The elders looked at each other, and slowly they nodded. Jackson watched quietly. He saw something change in the Sara. The fire that had been hidden now burned bright. One elder stepped forward. You have our respect, but respect must be earned. The Sara smiled. I will earn it. The days passed with meetings and talks. The Sara shared stories of her time with Jackson and Brock. She spoke of strength and unity, and the power of hope. The survivors listened. Slowly, smiles returned to tired faces. Jackson helped repair the refuge's damaged defenses, while Brock taught the young fighters new tactics. One evening, the Sara stood with Jackson on a hill overlooking the refuge. I never thought I'd find a home again, she said softly. You made your own home, Jackson said. She turned to him. You saw my worth when no one else did. Why? Jackson smiled. Because sometimes the strongest souls are the ones everyone else misses. The Sara reached out and took his hand. Weeks later, the refuge celebrated. Music played, fires burned, and people danced. Thessera stood among them, no longer the outcast, but a leader of her people. Jackson, Brock, and Luma watched, proud. The auctioneer's words were far behind. Thessera was no longer half price. She was priceless.